Hello and welcome everyone to another one of my plugin reviews. Today we are going to talk about the Vocoflex, which is this plugin, and it's made by the same people who also made Synthesizer V. The developers called it Dreamtonics. And if you don't know Synthesizer V, that is basically an application and a plugin, just like Vocaloid for synthesizing vocals, but it uses AI technology. In Vocaloid, there's basically a lot of samples, and then they are crossfaded into each other so that it works with the syllables and the melodies that you type in. And in Synthesizer V, an AI is just synthesizing the vocals from, I don't know, it's machine learning algorithm thingy. And this video is not going to be about Synthesizer V, but just saying Synthesizer V sounds very realistic. I would say it sounds more realistic than Vocaloid. It doesn't always sound more fun, to me at least, because Vocaloid has a certain tightness that is just lacking in all other vocal synths, unfortunately. But yeah, Synthesizer V has the most realistic sound in my opinion. Now going back to Vocoflex, what is it even? I would call it basically the craziest font filter of the entire galaxy. It is an effect that transforms your vocals into a different voice in real time. Check out this part while I am enabling and disabling Vocoflex.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor starten. Ich möchte nicht warten. Seine Pop-Up bleibt auszufahren. Und möchte dir damit zu zwinkern. Und mit dir zeigen, dass ich gewinnen kann. Ohne Wingden. Ohne 50-way distribution. Gib ihm my love.
My voice has totally transformed.
And now I will show you what you can do when you are instantiating a fresh instance of Vocoflex on your vocals. So let's say you are just adding Vocoflex, init preset, no voice in there, playback.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren.
Which is just the voice as it would be dry, but perfectly done. If we actually mix the dry signal with Vocoflex,
ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor.
we can hear some sort of count filter artifacts or something, I don't know why. Doesn't matter, you wouldn't do that anyway. Now, what do you have to do to get started? There are different ways actually. One of the ways is that you choose one of the voices that already come with the plugin. So yeah, I could just say, I want to be a sweet dreamy alto. And now I am.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor starten. Ich kann nicht warten. Seine Pop.
Well, I could decide that I actually want to be on a different octave.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor starten. Ich kann nicht warten. Seine Pop-Up bleibt auszufahren. Und möchte.
And I could decide that I want to have another voice in here. Let's say bright female J-pop. Now we see two different voices, and I can interpolate between them.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor starten. Ich kann nicht warten.
You can also extrapolate away from the voices like this.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor.
And this sort of amplifies the characteristics of that voice. So this one sounded dreamy, so it gets even more dreamy and a little bit more muffled than the other one.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor starten. Ich kann nicht warten. Seine Pop-Up bleibt auszufahren. Und möchte dir damit zu zwingen.
Now this one sounded already pretty energetic when you just were close to it. When you go further away, it sounds almost aggressive. So yeah, it also amplified the specific characteristics of this voice. Before I had Vocoflex, when I wanted to have sort of a font filter vibe, I always had to instantiate an instance of Kerovee and type in the scale that I'm working with, and then be like, okay, shifting it up an octave, and then go.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor starten. Ich kann nicht warten. Seine Pop-Up bleibt auszufahren. Und möchte dir damit zu zwinkern. Und dir zeigen, dass ich
Now the cool thing about the way it works in Kerovee is that you can mix in another voice, maybe on a different octave, and with a different font shift.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seinen kleinen Motor starten. Ich kann nicht warten. Seine Pop-Up bleibt auszufahren. Und möchte dir damit zu zwinkern. Und dir zeigen, dass dass ich gewinnen kann, ohne Win-Win.
As you can see, it's easy to compose a rich vocal sound with that, so that's pretty cool. You can even pan the voices and immediately get a stereo sound, but also doesn't sound very real. And it is also a pretty distorted sound, so I appreciate that now there is Vocoflex as an alternative solution to the same problem basically.
Ich möchte einen Milliarden fahren, ich möchte sein, ich kann den Motor starten, ich kann nicht.
And I also really like how it feels to move between the voices. Now I already showed you one of the reasons why I wanted to have Vocoflex, which is that sometimes I feel like it's kinda cool to be a different voice, especially be a different gender. Like in this case where I put myself an octave higher and chose bright female J-pop. Cause now I'm really cute and I think that's kawaii. This is going to be interesting for all the transgender people out there who don't quite sound like their favorite gender yet, and also to all of the people who are not transgender like me but like to do some role-playing things in the music. So like in this case I'm singing about wanting to have Imiata, which is an awesome car, and later in the track I have this part.
Oh no, ich war beim Arzt und sagt, ohne Scheiß, sie haben Miata-Diagnose. Oh nein, nein, das kann nicht sein. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil.
Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil. That's just so nice. I love that. It sounds way different than how I have sung it. I will go more into detail later, but what I just wanted to say is this dude sings a different story than the first voice. It sings the story of someone who was forced to use Imiata on a mountain pass because it was suggested by his psychiatrist that he should use Miatas medically to be himself, you know, as a therapy. And he is kinda not a big fan of it, but it's just his life then. So different characters with different perspective on the same topic. That's how I see the strength of this plugin. You can do these kind of things as a single person.
Okay, I want to kick this video off with a little bit of a discussion about the ethical situation of this plugin. People sometimes say, and even the developers themselves, that it's kinda dangerous to make a plugin like this because people could abuse it as identity theft. And they did multiple things to prevent that from happening, which I'm going to talk about as well. But what I did was, I went to YouTube. I typed in Alexander Markus a cappella. Because Alexander Markus, who is a German singer who has very great vocal skills, once uploaded this video in which he is singing some of his greatest hits, more like a cappella of those studio versions. And some of them actually don't have reverb and delay on them. So I took one of those recordings and imported it into Vocoflex to let Vocoflex analyze the voice and make it available as a voice transformation thing for me. Now, typically that would be illegal, as I would be stealing Alexander Markus' identity. But let's choose this vocal that has been generated for me now and just play back the music. I feel like I don't sound like Alexander Markus. I do sound like something that sort of resembles Alexander Markus, but no one would be like, okay, yeah, that is Alexander Markus. So I don't feel like I actually stole his voice. I feel like whatever this AI did is inspired by his voice, but it's not possible to do identity theft with this plugin. That's why I'm not concerned about this ethical dilemma that some people see. It's just not there for me. Also, you have to consider that most of the times you will just mix it up with other voices anyway.
Möchte einen mich weiterleiten, mit ihm durch die Kurven strecken gleiten, wir bestreiten.
That's a nice voice, I like that. And it's not like Alexander Marcus at all. Now, this brings me to a new topic that I would like to talk about, feature requests. Imported voices can be saved not as preset, but as voice. So at the moment, all you can do when you have a voice, when you have imported a sound and then say that should be a voice, is you have to save as preset or save as a new preset, or you can rename the preset, but you cannot save as a voice. And it's problematic for the workflow, because you can always add new voices from the factory voices, but the moment you try to open one of your presets that have a voice in them that you like, it will go back to just that voice, because it's not a voice but a preset that you have clicked on. And I have already 2 different presets here, and the second one even already has the Alexander Marcus voice in it, and another one, so this one doesn't even contain just one voice, so it's a little bit cluttered now. The organization of voices would work much better if there was the option to save voices as voice and not as preset. Next up, I wanna talk about what I feel like makes the plugin very intriguing, which is that it has vocal character inconsistencies. For example, this voice.
Ich möchte einen Miata leiten, mit ihm durch die Kurvenstrecken gleiten. Wir
My goal was to make me sound very cute. I was just tweaking the position of the interpolation between the voices and ended up here between bright female J-pop and bright female something else pop, and I expect this to make me sound like a woman, especially because I put myself an octave higher. But when I showed my girlfriend this song, she said that I actually sound more like a child to her, and when I listened very closely, I also noticed that it could be interpreted as a child voice, maybe even a male child voice. Listen closely and try to perceive this as a child.
Ich möchte einen Miata leiten, mit ihm durch die Kurvenstrecken gleiten. Wir bestreiten alle Wege, das ist die Schmuse-Miata-Synthese. Also
And if you then try to perceive it as a woman again, you can also do that. So it seems to be sort of in the space in between. It seems to jump back and forth between being a woman voice and a child's voice. And I think that is the result of the AI just mixing a lot of stuff together super fast, faster than I can notice. But I noticed that things are kind of weird, and it's what people often describe as unsettling about the products of AI algorithms. And I think in this case, in particular, it manifests in the sensation that you don't really know what's the age and what's the gender of the voice. It somehow leans into certain direction, but it never really settles for one. That is what makes it intriguing to me. The next thing I want to talk about is how I feel like Vocoflex seeks this expression. That is an important topic for me because there are a lot of discussions online where there is always one dude who says,
Auto-tune is a bad plugin because untalented people can just slap it on their vocals and suddenly they sound talented.
And I always think that these kind of statements are really dumb because Auto-tune only fixes pitch. It does not fix expression. You still have to sing in a cool way for the plugin to make the sound good. Just because you have the right pitch does not mean that you sound good. A lot of people have already proven this to be correct because there are a lot of rap songs out there that have Auto-tune on them that just don't sound good. So apparently there is more to vocals than just pitch, and that is expression. And now I make the statement that Vocoflex actually does something about expression. Maybe it's not the full picture yet, but it does something. I wanna see examples.
Eines Tages gönn ich mir ein Miata, fahr den süßesten Schmusekater meiner Stadt, ja.
Okay, so I wanted to listen to meiner Stadt, ja. I turn the plugin off.
Eines Tages gönn ich mir ein Miata, fahr den süßesten Schmusekater meiner Stadt, ja.
Eines Tages gönn ich mir ein Miata, fahr den süßesten Schmusekater meiner Stadt, ja.
Meiner Stadt, ja.
Meiner Stadt, ja.
I think there is just a certain euphoria in the way Vocoflex made meine Stadt ja sound. I have sung that in the more neutral way, but it became something that has a lot of euphoria and breathiness in it. It's more than just a little bit of vocal character. That's at least my theory. But let's put it to the test and actually run Melodyne at this part.
Das ist ein Schmusekater meiner Stadt, ja.
Okay, so now we have an instance of Melodyne here, and we also have an instance of Melodyne of what it was like before.
Das ist ein Schmusekater meiner Stadt, ja.
No, there it is. This is meine Stadt hier, meine Stadt hier. And this is also meine Stadt hier. And we can see the vibrato works very differently. It's mostly flat here, but then there is a little bit of a spike at the beginning, and this one, it's like a little bit more wavy going on, and it has an upwards motion, so it's definitely a totally different expression. Also, this one is just sharply going up, and then this one is smoothly going up. This voice smoothens out some of the note transitions, apparently. The plugin really changes a lot about the character of the vocals. So if people now start claiming that plugins actually make untalented people sound more talented, then I would finally agree. Yes, that might be a little bit the case now, but it wasn't the case with this whole Otamatone debate. Just to make that very clear. I also want to show you another example of this.
Oh nein, nein, das kann nicht sein. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil.
In German, the word geil has a certain meaning and is like a powerful word that is often used to say that something is pretty sick, but back in the days it was used for things that have arousal in them, so it has sort of a shady note to it. And this dude, this voice, sings this line in a way that just super fits to the word. It is just super with this dirty tone in it, and the way I sang it, there was just not this subtone, this expression in it.
Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil.
I mean, maybe it was a little bit in there, but it was not like
Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil. Ich war...
You have to be German to understand it. This is so perfect now. And yeah, I had to laugh my ass off when I recorded that. Unfortunately, I can't do it anymore because now I have heard it a million times already. But, oh man, that was such a great feeling. You know, when someone makes a plugin that actually can make you laugh, that's worth a lot. Okay. My to-do list says that the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Pre-Melodyne-Realtime-Technique on the phrase Ich bin startklar. Okay, so here I made a mistake in the recording. Oh wait, it's actually here. So let's turn off Vocoflex and listen to the recording.
Ich will leben, ich bin startklar, gönn dir den Schmusemi.
So here there is Ich bin startklar, gönn dir den Schmusemi. But the problem is, startklar, this klar, the klar, I have extended it way too long. There is no pause in between klar and gönn, which doesn't sound very nice.
Klar, gönn dir den.
And was Vocoflex enabled?
Klar, gönn dir den
It's a little bit better, but still kinda shitty. That's why I would like to test my Pre-Melodyne-Realtime technique on this example. The Pre-Melodyne-Realtime technique works like this. You are making a little bit of a loop of the section you wanna listen to, and then you tweak the melody instance that comes before Vocoflex while Vocoflex is enabled, so that you can hear in real time what your changes in Melodyne are doing to affect what Vocoflex tries to do. And this is the section, so now I would just have to do this. Much better. Now I will show you more footage of me using this technique to come up with a good Vocoflex sound.
Arzt und er sah beim 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 Arzt und er sagt Obst 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 und er sagt oh nein, na, Busse. Oh nein, na, Busse. Oh nein, na, Busse. Oh nein, das kann nicht sein. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn nicht sein. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn nicht sein. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn nicht sein. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn nicht sein. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn nicht sein. doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil. Doch der Arzt sagt nur, ihr Gehirn ist anders geil. Theater, wir fahren so ein Schmarrn, geht zu Apo mit Theater, wir fahren so ein Schmarrn, geht zu Apo mit Theater, wir fahren so ein Schmarrn, geht zu Apo mit Theater, wir fahren so ein Schmarrn, geht zu Apo mit Theater, wir fahren so ein Schmarrn, geht zu Apo mit Theater, wir fahren so ein Schmarrn, geht zu Apo mit Theater, wir fahren so. Sie händigen mir den Schlüssel, rigen mir den Schlüssel, rigen mir den Schlüssel, rigen mir den Schlüssel, rigen mir den Schlüssel, au den Schlüssel, au den Schlüssel, au den Schlüssel, au den Schlüssel, mir zu Theater, mir zu zeigen, zu zeigen, zu zeigen, zu zeigen, zu zeigen. Wie echt in Jacke, wie echt in Jacke, wie echt in Jacke, wie echt in Jacke, oh, 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 wie echt in Jacke, die Lineate, die Lineate, die Lineate, die Lineate, die Kurvenwerfer,
Okay, let's actually abuse this plugin a little bit now. Have a little bit of extended fun that was not intended by the developer, which is stacking Vocoflex instances. What happens, for example, if I just duplicate this instance now? What does it sound like? Okay, interesting. Maybe I should tweak that a little bit. I should actually not activate the second instance, that will go out of hand too quickly.
Ich möchte einen Reiter fahren, ich möchte seine kleine Motor starten, ich kann nicht warten, seine Pop-up, er bleibt auszufahren und möchte dir damit zu zwinkern und dir zeigen, dass ich gewinnen kann. Oh, no, nein, dann darf du auf die right distribution, geht wie mal. You must have einmal mit der Molekül und dadurch überwechseln das beste Kurs, seine Kursen auf das Preise und das Dasein mir Vegetage. Allerdings bin ich mir legit, hab ein süßes Licht, nur sie kommt.
Interesting. Well, I sound like I'm like Ukrainian or something. And also, it's interesting that the CPU consumption didn't spike up too hard, even though now I have way too many instances of Vocoflex in series. So these are some very interesting findings, and I think that I will make use of them sometime when I'm in need of weird vocals where it's not really clear what the text is saying, which is not the case now. Another thing that I noticed already is that you can sometimes apply at will to synthetic instruments as well. For example, this juicy bass. As it sounds dry, it sounds like this. It's a nice noisy undertone to everything. I did that earlier and added it as a storytelling feature in my song. For example here.
Sonne, Regen, Schnee und Nebel, betätige ich den Ganzschaltungshebel in den Spalten. Graues Leiden, bis wir die Apex erreichen.
This line at the deals with the fact that when you are power sliding through a corner, at some point you will suddenly see the apex, the most important part of the chart, and if you have arranged your setup very well, then you can give it all you got and stop drifting that moment and just push the throttle down, straighten out the wheel, if you've done everything correctly.
Ich race so schnell, ich race so fast. Ich race die Corners und trete aufs Gas. Wenn sie meine Linie sehen, checken meine Hater das. Ich turn das.
So I put a little triangle sample here to make this point in time stand out, and then I blended in this, which is exactly what I did before with the bassline.
Einer Wolke auf 4 Rädern will ich die Berge runterschneeben. Ich will leben, ich bin starker, kenne den Schmuss.
That's pretty quiet right now. Maybe it needs some EQing to better fit into the mix. But that's a problem for tomorrow's Florian. Okay, let's actually talk about a little bit of a problem now, which is resizability. I don't see any element on this UI that couldn't be composed in a resizable way. There are no images on the whole interface. Even in the settings menu, there are no images, just text and shapes. So it wouldn't be too crazy to add resizability to this plugin, and I think it would be a great addition to the workflow that this plugin already suggests, because this is essentially a plugin with just 2 parameters. You can see it down here in the non-GUI parameter representation of Bitwig. There are just 2 parameters, cursor X, cursor Y, and together they form this thing on the XYPad that describes where you are interpolating between the voices. And typically when there are XYPads like that on the plugin, for example with ProQ, there is an option to resize the window to be more precise about everything, or even to hit the full screen button so that you can make fine tweaks. Resizability is very useful on interfaces where the focus is to put things on a specific point on a large XY plane, like in ProQ. Also, ProQ has another advantage compared to Vocoflex workflows that I would like to see in Vocoflex as well, which is that you can click anywhere on the interface and nothing will happen, unless it is one of the nodes that you're clicking on. Then you will select the nodes, but even that is not really something that changes anything. It's just a selection. You would have to drag a node for something to change, and that gives you a certain feeling of safety. In Vocoflex, it has already happened to me multiple times that I was going somewhere with the mouse and then maybe a pop-up popped up, and then trying to click on something, or maybe I just misclicked while trying to hit the button like I just did. I tried to click on this button and suddenly the cursor went here and I lost my settings. Now there is no undo redo feature in this plugin, and on top of that, single clicks also change the parameter lines, which is very error prone for working with the plugin. I would suggest the developer to first of all implement undo redo, even though I'm typically not a big fan of undo redo, but for XYPads it makes a lot of sense because you are constantly adjusting 2 parameters at the same time, and it can easily happen to accidentally mess up. More important to have undo redo than with simple knobs. And if a developer does want to implement undo redo or wants to add something in addition to that to make it feel more safe, then I would suggest to get rid of the ability to change the value with a single click. I feel like it should only work if you actually start dragging it from this node to a different place, because then you could always click off into any spot and it would affect your settings. You could still have a workflow like that by combining it with a modifier key, like saying, okay, if the user holds Alt down while clicking, then that will set it to a specific point, if you still want to have this workflow in there at all. That's how I would solve this problem. Next up I want to talk about the fact that Vocoflex sometimes interprets syllables slightly wrong. That's normal for AIs like that, because the AIs just have multiple steps in the process, and one of the steps is to just identify which syllables the words are composed of, and only then it starts to synthesize those syllables. But if it has already messed up the detection there, it can also not produce the right word. It doesn't happen often, and it happens in a very subtle way, so I'm very happy with the results, but there are some examples.
Ich kann nicht warten, seine Pop-up-Ad-Lights auszufahren.
So here, the voice says pop up at lights.
Pop up Headlights auszufahren und möchte
But I clearly said headlights. I do understand why Vocoflex skipped the letter H here, because it was very subtle even in the original recording. I guess it would have helped if I didn't record it with this cheap-ass dynamic microphone that has absolutely no high-end, cause that way there is just not much power in letters like H, but I felt like holding the mic in my hand while recording this, cause it felt a little bit more relaxed.
Und möchte dir damit so zwinkern und dir zeigen, dass ich gewinnen kann, ohne Wingdon. 50-50 weight distribution.
So here I'm saying 50-50 weight distribution because that is what makes this car special. Mazda Miata has 50-50 weight distribution and that's why it has perfect balance in the corners.
Hello everyone and welcome. In this video we're going to be discussing weight distribution and how it affects vehicle dynamics. Looking at the equation for the front slip angle of the car and the rear slip angle of the car, you can see it's the weight on the front axle divided by the cornering stiffness.
50-50 weight distribution. Fuck yeah. However, it's also like I'm saying 50-50.
ohne Wingdon. 50-50 weight distribution.
I guess I have to balance out you and manually put a F before them.
Betätige ich den Gangschaltungshebel.
Oh, this is interesting. Betätige ich den Gangschaltungshebel. Hebel sounds very English.
Hebel, betätige ich den Gangschaltungshebel.
In German, it is Hebel. It's a bit of a difference. Hebel and Hebel. You know, Hebel has more focus on the and Hebel has focus on L. It sounds almost the same, but this brings up an interesting topic. The upper thing is typical Germany and the lower thing is typical English. And the data says that these voices are made of, and the way the AI was treated was probably with a lot of English and Japanese voices. Because that is always traditionally the case with vocal synthesizers. So the vocal synthesizer doesn't even know what German is, probably. But it can still perform most of the syllables that exist in German for some reason, because apparently it did all this. But sometimes it exposes its nature a little bit. Hebel.
Sonne, Regen, Schnee und Nebel. Betätige ich den Gangschaltungshebel.
Gangschaltungshebel. Eine Sache habe ich noch. Miata fahren, Regen.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren.
The word fahren in ich möchte eine Miata fahren. It sounds more like run than run. Fahren instead of fahren.
Einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte sein.
And it actually sounds like this.
Einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte
The syllable inconsistencies are really subtle and also kinda rare, so I'm fine with that. Now I'm going to show you some footage of me playing the Otamatone.
Through Vocoflex, because as you probably know, an Otamatone also tries to sound like a voice, sort of a synthesized voice, and it looks cute, just like a Miata. That's why I'm going to show you this footage now.
Alright, I'm back here and the next topic I want to talk about in regard to Vocoflex is how it fixes spectral balance. You can see multiple plugins here that try to help me fix the spectral balance of my cheap ass dynamic microphone, and if I turn off Vocoflex, I'm getting that far.
Ich möchte einen Miata fahren. Ich möchte seine kleine Motor starten. Ich kann nicht warten, seine Pop-Up-Headlights auszufahren.
Und möchte dir damit so zwinkern und dir zeigen, dass ich geht.
But it still has way more energy after I have added Vocoflex to it. And I think that is because the voices were recorded with really good microphones and with a lot of care, so that whatever you throw at it will be interpreted as those samples. And those samples never showed any sign of being muffled. So when the AI hears something muffled, it thinks,
wait, that can't be. There is no muffled. I will go for something energetic.
I think that's pretty cool. Let's also inspect the other vocal for this property.
Ich war
Beim Arzt und er sagt, ohne Scheiß, Sie haben ja da Diagnose.
oh nein, nein, das kann nicht sein.
It just cuts through the mix way better, and I recorded the second vocal not with my cheap-ass dynamic mic, but with this one. So that should have been better. Obviously, I did less work here. On the other track, I had this whole multiband stuff with dynamics and distortion. Here, I kept it rather simple, so there could have been more to do on this sound before going into Vocoflex. Maybe that would have helped even, cause I read in the manual that it can help to put a compressor before Vocoflex to make it identify things a little better. I still need to try that, but what I just want to say, even without effects on a dry sound, Vocoflex will transform the sound into a sound that sounds more like its voices were recorded as. So you can go into it with a rather cheap sounding mic, which is cool. Alright everyone, let's have a little bit of plugin abuse fun again. What I want to do now is I want to instantiate an instance of delay plus a delay of delay. And yeah, here's the typical delay features: delay time, feedback, and repetition algorithm for changing the delay time. Always sounds very funky. And you can put things into the feedback loop, which sets literally apart from most outdoors, where you have to live with the things that the delays can do, and you can just design your own delay details. Cause oftentimes, what makes a delay special and stand out from other delays is what the developer puts into the feedback loop. And obviously the big question is what would happen if Vocoflex was in the feedback loop. Hello? So out of the box, not much is happening. We just hear the latency doing its thing. I will not go into low latency mode because I want this to sound good. And select the voice. Hello? 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 Voice? Turn up? Okay, let me mute this file. Cause I wanna explain what's going on here. I've turned up the feedback completely. And typically when you do that with the delay, you get a lot of harsh noise, an explosion of sound. Of course, because if you turn up feedback over 100%, then why would it not explode? But this plugin does not only have latency, but also the fact that it cannot tries to replace the whole sound with a whole different sound makes it that when those sounds are played on top of each other, they don't complement each other enough for feedback to be able to build up. That's why I can push this extremely hard and it still doesn't feedback.
Alright. Okay, let's let's kinda record something, and it's a bit confusing to hear that, but let's just go and stuff. Let's go and stuff. This is... Oh, I have not been recording the automation at all, but now I do, and I'm kinda here for it. Oh, nice scratches and stuff, but not going back to the...
Am I a pioneer? Am I the pioneer of vocal mud pies now? Or has anyone done vocal mud pies before? That would be interesting. No, just kidding. I know that there are vocal mud pies out there, but they are definitely on the rarer side. So let's listen. I kinda like that. Oh, my to-do list said that the only topics left are a bunch of ethic discussions. Okay, let's talk about it. The first thing is, there is no demo of the plugin available. Your plugin is really expensive. I don't know if you went to the website yet, but let's just do it together now. If you click on Get Vocoflex, you will notice in the Dreamtonics store, it costs $200, which is extremely expensive for a plugin. And there is no demo version available. No trial version, no demo version, and as far as I can see, no words about the ability to get your money back if you don't like this. So basically, you just have to trust me that the things that are being sold here are cool. That's not very nice, and it's also why I wouldn't accept an affiliate link to this product. But when I'm reviewing plugins, I'm doing that because I believe in the plugin and because I think it's fun. That's why I wrote an email to Dreamtonics and asked them for an NFR license for this plugin in exchange for a video. You could say it's kind of a sponsored video thing because I got the plugin for free, but also I'm not trying to sell it to you, I'm just having fun. Okay, the next topic is ID verification. Right, so when you buy this plugin, you have to identify yourself, the card that tells everyone who you are, where you live, what you do, and stuff. They added this to Vocoflex to prevent people from abusing it for identity theft. Because I think the idea is like, okay, if everyone is in a database, no one is anonymous, then no one will make shit with it, because then it would come back to them. Dreamtonics would notice who it was, and yeah, then they would give this information to the police or something, because they don't want to be involved in crime. They just want artists to have a cool tool. I appreciate that, but some people in the comment section in one of the videos have pointed out that this is also a little bit problematic, because nowadays there are a lot of hackers around who just hack certain developers who have data like this, and then they just steal the data and use it for something shady. And yeah, that's why when a developer asks for such data to evaluate if someone can use their product, they put themselves into a very responsible position where they say, okay, we have the security measures to prevent hackers from doing that. But this is just a plugin developer, and I know plugin development is not the craziest profession where you make billions of dollars, so I don't think that this developer has the means to offer this level of security. That's why I think that the ID verification, while it is a good idea that I really appreciate, it's not the best solution for this problem, and I think it should be changed. And then there is also one last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the ethical problems of Vocoflex, which comes down to the identity theft measures as well, the watermarking feature. On the website, it says that there is a watermarking feature undetectable to the ear that kinda says everyone who can read this watermark that this was created with Vocoflex. So if anyone used Vocoflex for identity theft, then people who have the recording of it could just tell this is Vocoflex because of the watermarking feature. And as I said before, I think that the character of this plugin is very noticeable anyway, so I wouldn't even say that a watermarking feature is needed to prevent identity theft, but the idea of the watermarking feature is still out there now, and it's kinda cool, because I don't hear anything weird going on, except for the whole thing being an AI, of course. I suppose this watermarking feature is just some sort of dithering technique, where some really quiet noise in the background has the information of which voice this, of which voices the current voice is composed of, and that it's made by Vocoflex, and maybe even which user of Vocoflex made it. So that, we can prevent crime and stuff. However, I have my doubts about how good this works, because people often put something like reverb or delay on their vocals. And I am just wondering, how would it still be possible to read a message from the noise in the background of a sample when it was diffused by a lot of all-pass filters and delays and stuff, and what else reverb has, you know? Could be anything, could be frequency shifters or something even crazier, spectral effects of all kinds, spectral gate, for example. Would the information still be there? I have my doubts. And it would be cool if Dreamtonics released a software where we can just run audio ads, and then it will give us a percentage of how likely it is that this was made with Vocoflex, so that we can verify that this watermarking feature actually works. That would be pretty cool. Alright everyone. That's all I have to say about Vocoflex for now. I'm pretty sure I will make more content about it because I'm super amazed by this thing right now. But this is just everything I want to say about it so far.